Hi, everyone, and welcome to EchoCode Live. So, today we have an incredible show on the heart, the technology of the heart, and how we actually use it in our reality and what makes that unique and different. And then um, you know, how we can change our reality based on how we understand what that technology is and that it's not a tool. And I'll describe that a little bit later. And of course, I have my beautiful guest on, Jason, who is a master astrologist, and he's going to share some really cool, interesting things. But what we're about here on Echo Code Live, if you're new, is we talk about how we are the creator of our reality. We are able to architect our reality, walk timelines that will support the bigger vision that we have in our life. And if we don't like that, change the programming within us in order to shift timelines and move what it appears to move to a timeline where we are then resonating at the appropriate frequency where we're seeing our reality form before our eyes, wake up in the morning and have a different experience than we did before. And as much as that might seem, kind of unreasonable or maybe unique or too different for someone to lean into, I would invite you to give it a shot, to just at least explore how you can see your reality so that you can see the reflection of you that is real and true, and know that being the driver and creator and the architect of your reality, it doesn't take anything from how you're living. What it does is it gives you the keys to your car. It gives you the master key to changing everything. It gives you the abundance experience that you're after, not because someone needs to give it to you, but you get to give it to you. And so, from that space, understanding how our technology works and how our programming works and how it reflects on the monitor of your world is imperative to realizing that you're actually the driver in the driver's seat. You're driving your car, or it could be any type of thing. You could be riding your bike or walking the path, whatever you want to say it is. You're the one that's in charge of your reality. And it is very, very clear as we look at everything that we've been through, everything that's going on in the world from your perspective is clearly written by you, whether you know it or not, right? So the unconscious aspect of experiencing your code running doesn't mean it's not running, and it doesn't mean you didn't create it, or at least it doesn't exist already. Because the fact of the matter is this: in the present moment, if what you're experiencing isn't working for you, if I told you, if I shared with you and reminded the infinite cells of you that you are the architect and creator and you have the key, you just didn't realize you had it. If you knew that the technology to make those kind of changes weren't outside of you and you didn't have to do more, if you could shift something instantly, you would have a different experience. Would you want to know anything about it? And if the answer is yes, then stick around because you're going to learn so much. Every week we do this, every Thursday at 9 a.m. EST or 9:05 EST. Uh, we're going to come on, myself for sure, and my special guest Jason, or anyone else that comes along with us, to understand this concept better so that you can have the reality you're after. And it's never too late. Now, when you're very young, or if you're very, in your elder years, change is real. It's the only constant that we have, and we're at the helm of that. And so let's get to it, especially in a reality where things feel super volatile, super uneasy some days, and there's a lot of potential inside of chaos, right? There's a lot of extreme things that occur, but there's also a lot of experiences we can grow with. And so, that being said, I have one topic that I want to bring up today that's super, super relevant to my reality because it just showed up. And in I title myself a reality architect because I've been gifted the understanding, the knowing, and I don't see if you've seen any of my talks or my secret podcast around knowing versus believing, the difference between those two. One being outside of you, that you're looking outside of you, one being a knowing inside of you, believing being on the outside. I realized that everything that I talk about had a core commonality. And that was how much I knew I was choosing to experience unconditional love. And with that, and I'm sure you're feeling the same way, that unconditional love is such a powerful, powerful thing, right? What is There's so many statements around, including love. Love heals all, love changes everything. Like, name all of them that, can speak directly to the power of love itself. And what I realized is that beautiful heart portal, as I talk about it being the center of creation, the power of creation within you, the soul's ability to take that technology and create with it, with your consciousness. As much as it's a technology and it sounds cold when I say it that way, but it's not, because it's so powerful, especially as we're leaning into the AI days where AI is like blowing everyone's minds with what it can create and what it can do, and it's only going to get more so. The technology of our heart is so powerful, just the same, if not more powerful. And why I call it technology is because I discovered that it is not a tool. Most of us use our hearts like a tool. We don't realize. We think if we love more, if we do more, like if we're doing more to show love, it all has to do with love, right? It is the heart, and that's the perspective I had. But the center of attention that we give our heart as a tool is, the example is using a hammer. A hammer's a tool, right? If we need to hammer a nail into the wall, we don't pick up a sponge. We pick up a tool, a hammer, something that's actually, not that a sponge isn't a tool, right, to be used, but a hammer itself. We know that that tool is going to hammer that nail into the wall. So we pick it up and we use it with our force and our energy, and we take the time to do it. And if the nail's not going in, what is our intention? To hammer a nail into maybe a piece of board that's going to stick to another board and hold something up, right? So that's easy. Pick up the tool, hammer the nail through the board. What happens if the nail doesn't go through? Well, we hit it harder. We give it more force, more energy, more effort, right? And we keep on doing it because we know at some point the logic is the hammer is going to hit the nail through the board. So we're literally just forcing ourselves out. Now, what happens after a while? I'm like, oh my God, this thing's not going through. What the hell is going on here? And now I'm sweating. I'm exhausted. I'm tired. I'm about to give up. I want to throw the hammer, right? I didn't get the nail through the board. I don't understand what's going on. So I put the hammer down. I'm like, oh man, maybe if I just did more, I don't know. Maybe I need a bigger hammer. Maybe I'm not doing it right. Maybe I'm not good enough. Maybe I don't have what it takes to like hammer a nail through the wall. I don't know what, something's clearly wrong. I need to do more. How many times have you seen yourself put that type of focused attention into doing something and thinking like, I'm not doing enough. I'm not good enough. Maybe I'm not the person. Maybe what I'm doing is incorrect. Maybe I'm holding the hammer wrong. Maybe I'm hitting the nail wrong. I don't know. It seems pretty simple. And all along, what we don't realize, like now that I'm exhausted and I'm tired and I'm sweating and I'm like, okay, I'm gonna give up on this whole like hammer nail thing. I'm gonna have to hire somebody, right? I decide to take a look behind the wall, and what I see is a cement brick. Of course, it's not gonna go through. It's like trying to hammer a nail through this metric. There's just no way. It's not going through. Now, until I realized that, I gave all the energy and effort I had into picking up the hammer and hammering and hammering and hammering, and I'm sweating and I'm irritated and I'm frustrated, and now I wanna throw the hammer. I'm exhausted, and I still haven't got the hammer through, and I'm like, "Why didn't I look?" Now I'm blaming myself even further. Why didn't I look behind the wall before? Like, how I can't believe I didn't do that. Like, obviously, had I thought about that before, like, so many things go through my mind. And that's what a tool is. It's like using a tool. There's energy and effort required in order to get it through, right, man? If I took something else that was bigger and harder, it probably would have put it right through that into the cement. Now let's take technology on the other side. Technology is something that's already put together, that's created to make things work for you, right? So we have technology with our computers and our phones. We pick up the phone and we press one button which happens to be one of our friends, one of our family members, whatever, and it calls them. So it does all this work behind the scenes and makes it ring on the other side on their technology. Super simple, right? Press a button, off we go. That technology is awesome. I didn't have to effort anything. All I did was know that if I just pressed a button, it was going to work for me, right? Unless technology is down, but that's besides the point. We would know my phone would be off or the network is down. But still, the technology works with precision, with speed, and without effort. I don't have to effort to pick up my phone and touch a button. So that technology exists whether I'm making it work or not. Lots of people are using the technology. If I look on the internet on my phone, they're using it without me even having to do anything, even if I don't know. It's still working. So that phone carries technology that works whether I'm using that phone or not, right? It's doing things all the time. That is great ease to me. I mean, listen, if I could pick up the phone and hammer the nail, I wouldn't do it because I'm logically, gonna realize it doesn't work that way. But however, the speed and the ease and the effortlessness that it takes in order to use a phone to call somebody, which is, I mean, way back before there was phones, you might just had to get up and walk to someone's house, could be miles away. But the technology makes it easier. Here's the truth. The difference between a tool and technology is not the result. It's the effort and energy that's used in order to do something that doesn't require a lot of energy and effort. The hard technology, as I realize now, is not a tool, right? Your heart is not a tool. You can't love harder. You can't love more. You can't do more to love harder. That's not how it works, right? The phone is a phone is a phone, no matter how you look at it. Your ability to be you, which is unconditional love, is you no matter how you slice it. It is you no matter what. In order for you to love someone, all you get to do is be you. So that heart technology, the creation point, already exists. It's already running. It's already working. It's there whether you think you're using it or not. You're using it no matter what, just like the phone technology. It's happening. You're loving you, you're loving others. Your mere beingness is the love that that technology is utilizing. It's being all the time, unconditional love. Like whether the programming that exists within you is displaying that or not, it's despite that even so. Coming in as a whole being gifts you that, I guess, uh, I wouldn't say privilege, but honoring and knowing that you are unconditional love, whether your programming shows the world or yourself something different or not. It is technology. When you're using it for a tool, that's where the heaviness of all things show up. Things are heavy. Things are hard. Things are effort. And you think that you start creating and acknowledging programming that shows you maybe you're not good enough. Maybe you're not enough. Right? If I just hit the nail hard enough, is it going to go through the cement? I don't know. Maybe someday. I don't know. Maybe not. But my effort is going to go unrealized because really there's just no way I'm going to be able to hammer a small nail through a cement wall after going through the wood. It's just not. But I will try thinking that it's uh, upon me to do it because I must get that thing through. I've decided I'm going to, and that's what's happening. As simple as that may seem, that's how we find ourselves in our reality with how our hard technology works. We push so hard to love everyone and everything in our world, thinking that if we loved harder, that we're gonna get a result that we want. If we loved more, someone wouldn't leave us. If we just had done something different and loved them in a different way or realized how they needed to be loved, that something would change. We effort so hard to love. We express ourselves in certain ways and create then judgments against ourselves as to why we're not enough. Because what our love wasn't clearly powerful enough, as though that's possible. It's not. We're unconditional love beings no matter what. Our programming indicates how we experience our reality, but the fact that we're unconditional love does not change. Our hearts are not a tool. They're a technology. They exist no matter what. your attention is pressing the button on the phone to call your friend, call your mom, pressing the button. It was an intention that I decided I was going to call, and I pressed the button and off it goes. Is an intention to love someone when you meet them. It's intention to put your focal attention, I would say, on something is intentional. Your beingness is always you. You will be unconditional love, like irregardless and irrespective of what you think you are being loved as or you're doing in the name of love. Your actions and your words don't even need to exist when your being is already unconditional love. So, that being said, the point of me sharing that is this: when you honor the technology that is you, that is love no matter what, and then allow yourself to see programs in your reality that indicate how you have been carrying your love or using your love or not seeing your love, that's the programming, right? So something off in the technology in your mind with the programming that's creating a reality that shows you something different than you know yourself to be. It's very heavy to use your heart as a tool. It makes holding on to things like, listen, we can grieve. Yes, absolutely. But the heaviness of guilt that we didn't do something to love someone more, we should have done something more, right? Is all the programming that we have bought about ourselves that's reflecting back to us, that's carried us heavy, right? We use this beautiful technology of our heart, of the creator in us, that space of creation to so many different degrees as a tool that it gets in our way. It causes unnecessary, let's say, emotional experiences on the negative side because we're not actualizing from the space of the technology. We're not pressing the button and knowing who we are. We're not knowing who we are just right out of the gate, waking up that way. And when we decide that we've found something that we love, that's basically the mental intention technology button press, right? To call your mom. Oh, yeah, think about my mom. Touch, I'm calling my mom. That's how our realities work with love. As simple and as easy as that. The doing piece, that's after the fact. Gets to be aligned and easy, not heavy and draggy and so emotionally detrimental that we keep recreating crappy programs that change the way we experience our world in a non-joyful way. So that's my soapbox for today as far as how we can experience ourselves. It feels like a very heavy topic, but it is so enlivening when we know that who we are and the love that we exude comes from a space of technology. So, speaking of technology and programming, there are certain things in our reality that show us the power of how to understand why we're experiencing certain things in our reality without really knowing how. And there are some things in this world that never change. Our timelines can change and our experience can change and our programs can change. But the one thing in this timeline and across very many timelines in this multidimensional experience is and are the planets. And so we're going to dive really deep into how that works for us and how we can see ourselves differently when we know, okay, let's boil it down. There's one spot that we get to be when we're looking at our reality to understand ourselves better, that if we don't know anything, it's a great place to start, which is where, when, and what time we were born. And so for that, I'm going to bring up my amazing friend Jason, who is a master astrologist. Welcome, Jason.
I don't know why you keep saying that about me. I don't feel like one, I'll tell you that much.
Well, you know what? And that just proves the truth of when something is easy for you that you enjoy in your world and it comes naturally and it is, it seems to be something you can just do without really thinking and you don't even need to be fully awake to do so. Um, your mastery, your gold, your genius is something that feels easy to you, but not to others. And here's the proof. I still, as long as I've known you, still cannot really quite compute astrology in the way that you do. And so that is proof in my world that I love it. I love astrology. It makes sense when you tell it to me, when you show it to me, but it's not a natural thing for me to understand. I couldn't look at a chart even after all these years and say anything about it. Maybe I could find the sun, which I believe is a circle with a dot, right? That's my favorite
Interesting
one.
what you say, and the thing is about that. Getting back before we move on to what we're going to look at with the chart today. If you think about the circle with a dot in it, what you were
Yeah.
just saying about allowing love to come through.
Yeah.
Well, the sun is the ruling planet of Leo, and Leo is the sign of the sun. And the ruler of Leo is the heart. It's also the ego. So here's two ways to look at it. You've got the ego. You were talking about technology, and I won't re-articulate what you just said. But when I was sitting there listening to you talk about it, I was thinking, okay, you can look at it in terms of technology if you want to. But one of the most simple types of technology is either a window or a door. Now, in its own way, you could say, well, that's technology because you've got to be able to, you need a lock or a handle and sort of close it, open it. It's got a function. Window, the same thing.
Yeah.
And you might be able to see through the door if it's made out of glass, or windows should be able to see out of it.
Yeah.
And it's interesting because if we take the sun, which is what most people, if you're looking at the newspaper and you think about your stars, you think, well, I'm a Pisces, you're a Capricorn. And we think in terms of that one-dimensional way of looking at it, which most people, that's the limit of it.
Yeah.
And there's only 12 kinds of people in this world.
Oh, Leo.
If you look at the technology, if you think of love as something that is actually 5D and not 3D, if we're talking about it being, the opposite of what you were saying is transactional. I'll love you if, I'll love you, or I love you because is the same.
Yeah.
Depending on the time frame, the tense that you're using.
Yeah.
Future or past. I love you because you did this for me. I love you because you love me.
Yes.
It's still transactional.
Mm-hmm.
And if you stop loving me, well, I'll stop loving you. And or if you're late for dinner, or you don't call me, well, that's it. I'm not going to talk to you again. That's not the infinite soulful kind of thing. That's bargaining. That is a deal.
Mm-hmm.
And again, I think the phrase, the word that comes into my head is transactional. Now, if we see it as a window, the heart is a window between the 3D and the 5D.
Mm-hmm.
Because that's what you've got to open to allow the infinite in. And the infinite is going to be love. The soul is a love thing.
Yes,
baby.
it is.
Right? So if you open that, if you know that you can trust, tell the ego to shut the F up, stand aside, so that you can just open the door and just let it in, or open the window and let it in.
Yeah.
Let the sunshine in is the old fifth dimension. That was the name of the group that sang it, by the way. How about that?
Wow. Right? No irony in this.
No. There's a clue for you, kids, right? Fifth dimension said, let the sunshine in. Well, what it means, I mean, you can take the sunshine as a metaphor for soulful 5D love. You got to open it. Now, so in your chart, if you're going to look at it one-dimensionally, well, that's the kind of door you've got. That's the kind of door that or window that you're operating with. Well, that's the kind of thing that's in your way of letting your heart just let the sunshine in.
Yeah. Yeah, what a great way.
If you can get the door to open or the window to open, it'll be different ways. So for a Capricorn, you don't have to earn it, is what I would say.
Yeah.
You might think as a Capricorn, well, if I work hard and I get to this position in life, then people will love me. Right?
Yeah.
If you're an Aries, it might be, I'll show them. I'll become a top-notch boxer or a soldier, or I'm just going to be so egotistical. that everyone will just bow down and say, see how wonderful I am.
Yeah.
Watch me. Or if you're a Leo, oh, God. If I'm sitting on my throne and I give out the gold to people and I'm generous, then they'll all come to my feet and say, "Oh, thank you for giving me." It's really egotistical. You've just got to become very open when you're a Leo and stop thinking about yourself. And to an extent, everybody's got to stop thinking about themselves. The Leo's the key. It's the rule of it. Stop thinking about yourself.
Yeah.
It's the purest form. If you're a Leo and you're watching this, you got to stop thinking about you and how wonderful you are and how the sun shines from any particular orifice that you might be thinking it shines from.
And you could share, Jason, what sign are you?
Pisces.
And what's Leo in?
My Leo
is your Leo your
moon.
Yeah.
So that's a different thing. That's not so much an ego thing. That's reflected. People might think, I think the sun shines from my orifice. The moon is what the sun is reflecting to people. That's the way they'll see you. Yeah. You might think of yourself as a Capricorn. I work hard, but with your moon in Libra, everybody thinks she wants to be liked. She just wants people to like her. And but they'll also see you as a fair person. We're underneath it with your Mars and Scorpio. You might not be fair at all. You might think, I'm going to rig the game. I'm going to win this, right? Because that's the way you act.
With coding, I think that, with human coding, I think that's
bingo.
Yeah.
Oomph.
There's a key for sure.
But see, with the Pisces, it's probably easier to let the ego go because we ain't got big egos to begin with. Or we'll pretend that we have, and we'll pretend we're a Leo, but we're not particularly good at being the great I am type stuff. We're quite vulnerable and fragile underneath it all.
So I see,
even though we might project something else, but it's actually quite easy for a Pisces to just step aside and connect with everything.
I see Kim's watching us, and she's a Leo. So how would you speak to that?
Well, my dad was a Leo, so my dad used to stand in front of a mirror and say to me, if I would stand anywhere near him, say, "You're so lucky to have such a handsome father." Right?
What did you say?
I laugh. Yeah, right. Yeah. But it's the Napoleon thing. It's like, God, I'm wonderful. God, I'm marvelous. Now there can be. It's not like you haven't got any insecurity. Of course you do. You've got other stuff going on, but you've got to let your ego get out of the way and just, you know what? It's not all about me. That's the key to opening it up and just being unconditioned, saying, I just love everyone.
Mike's commenting. He said he's also a Leo. Yeah. Mike in our audience. Yeah. Interesting.
But at the same time, the positive side of Leo is that they can be incredibly generous. My dad was not an ungenerous person. It was my birthday, and if you do X, he was being very transactional, I will say.
Yeah.
But he got me an acoustic guitar, and I didn't play it for years. And he said, if you work at it, I'll get you an electric one. And so once I'd learned a few chords and I'd started to work at it, true to his word, I got the electric guitar, an amp, a pedal, leads, right? Yeah. So at the same time, okay, you lived up to it. There you go. They do tend to be people of their word, Leos. They don't tend not to go behind the back and backstab you. They'll tell you. If they don't like you, they'll tell you.
Yeah.
You're this. You're stupid. You're an idiot.
They'll tell you their truth, yeah.
Oh yeah. It's there's an outward confidence. They might have their insecurities. My dad certainly did. But at the same time, there is part of them that thinks, you know what, the sun does shine out of my backside. Yeah. Right? And where Leo in your chart, you will find a bit of that ego. God, I'm good. Jeez, I'm good. So everybody's got it somewhere, but it's just more pronounced. With the Leo, that's your ego. That's the heart is, and it makes them vulnerable to heart attacks. My dad had 4 heart attacks.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah, he didn't die of it. He survived every one of them. But it makes your heart vulnerable because you will feel stuff. If you don't succeed, if you don't make it, it's a real hit. For me, par for the course if things go wrong. So again. So I'm not. Any Pisces is going to think, oh shit, yeah, all right. Not
So
gonna
when
work.
you're looking at,
So it's easy for us to pick ourselves up.
yeah.
Thing is, we're more likely to fail as a result too. But there you go.
If we're looking down the row of the signs, could you articulate what each sign's like heart experience is when we're looking at the heart technology and how that translates when you're looking at astrology? How does that line up? So what matches with a heart technology and their sign?
Think of it this way: there is a cycle to the day. You wake up in the morning. That's the rising sign.
Mm-hmm.
Then it moves to midday. Then the sun sets, and then you go to sleep, and you got the quarter to a third of the time when you're asleep.
Yeah.
Each sign corresponds with that. It also, for the year, the sun comes above the horizon, heads towards Cancer, the Tropic of Cancer.
Mm-hmm.
Then it hits that. It stays there for 3 or 4 days. I'll tell you the story of Jesus in a second.
Mm-hmm.
And then it comes back down. Here's my arm disappearing. Isn't it great? And then it goes down back to the equator and sinks below the equator. Then it hits the Tropic of Capricorn, stays there for 3 or 4 days, and then starts to move back up again. So you've got those. The natural cycle of the Earth going around the sun has those 4 quarters.
Yeah.
Okay. And each one of those quarters is broken up into the cardinal, the fixed, and the mutable. The cardinal's when it's the beginning, it's fresh, it's new. So at the beginning of the new day, it's fresh. Everybody's waking up and there's dew in the grass. And then you have everybody gets out of bed. Or like birds in springtime, they hatch out of the eggs. Everything's born new. Now, the next thing you do, you have Taurus representing food, right? Aries, everybody, spring, new, fresh. When you get into Taurus, it's time for breakfast. It's time to eat. Yum, yum, right? Taurians are they like their food, right? So by looking at that, when things are fresh and new, people that want things fresh and new and are just raring to go and full of energy, that's Aries. When it's time to sit down and chow down and not move and take everything in, get ready for the day, that's Taurus. Once you've had your breakfast, you might go to work or go to school. So you've got to travel somewhere. You've got to go somewhere, right? Mm-hmm. So you've got this beginning. You've got the bit where it solidifies, and then it's going to transition into something else. Mm-hmm. So you've got a beginning, a middle, and an end. The beginning, fresh and new. The middle, well, this is the way it is, kids. And then it transitions into something else. We're going to leave from home, go to work. We're going to leave from home, go to school. Or we have to get something. If you're a housewife, you've got to do stuff. You're going to have to move around, go out and do the shopping maybe at that point of the day. Whatever it is, whatever culture you're in, that's probably the way the morning is. And the first 3 months of the year are like that too. So the first part of the day is like that. The first part of the year is like the first part of your life is like that.
So what I'm hearing you say is that when we look at, it's very metafractal. So you could take all of the 12 signs and you could apply it to your, maybe the hour, the day, the week, the month, the year, and then out from there. And
everything is part of a cycle.
You're still using that cycle of signs to go through that. And ideally, that's how the chart's being looked at. So when that moves, if you're looking at the experience of your heart, when you look at the first part of the day,
mm-hmm.
which you said was...
You get up, Aries. Yep.
Yeah. How do they experience?
Also, the first part of the year, it's springtime. It's when all the bunny rabbits come and the eggs hatch, and the leaves spring out on the trees.
So how do they experience the heart? What their heart technology?
Everything's
how would
new.
They look
it's
at
fresh. It's full of energy. The sun has come up. It's gone dark, and now there's light. Woo! Let's go, say the Aries.
So do they
What's going to
love
stop us? What's going to stop us? They say naively. There's nothing that can stop us, says an Aries. Woo! Fresh and new. Let's go out there. You want to, if you want to start a war, yeah, we're going to win, right? We're going to win. If we're going to play a game, I'm going to win. Who could stop us? It's all fresh and new. It's very naive at the same time as well. It's not
Yeah.
a mature thing. It's just woo, like it's like a rabbit just coming out of its hole, going woo, and just hopping about without a care in the world.
So if we're looking at that beginning thing, then they experience their heart technology in the same way. Like they love right out of the gate. They pop out and just love from that space.
My mum was an Aries. She was always, well, if she saw something in news and she didn't agree with it, she'd go, I'm going to do something about that. I think this and I think that and da-da-da. And when we were living in a suburb that she didn't like when I was growing up, she started the residents group. And we're going to get this done. And we're going to do that. And and she put on a festival. She put on for 3 years. There was a festival, and she was the figurehead of it. She didn't do the hard work. That was an Aquarius, who's the secretary of the residents group. She had to do all the writing and the notes and the communication and all that. But my mum was at the front, and she'd make the big speech. Today we're blah 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 blah, full of right.
So did they experience their heart technology just wide open right out of the gate? Is that what you're saying? So what I'm getting to is how, and we can post,
but it's also very me-centered. It's I can do anything.
Yeah.
Oh yes, there's a Pisces. I was a Pisces. So, oh yeah, you really think that? Do you?
Yeah.
And she just say, "You're pouring water on my fire."
True by nature. So what we could do later, I suppose, once we're complete, we'll put together how each sign experiences the heart technology.
Well, let's do the first three, right? Because it's the easiest. These are the simplest ones to understand.
Yeah, for sure.
And it's a fire sign, which is energy with Aries. It's the sun coming above the horizon in the morning. It's the light emerging. It's not the burning heat of Leo at midday, right? Mm-hmm. Which is far hotter and more commanding. Napoleon was a general, right?
Was he a Leo?
Yeah, oh yeah. Oh yeah. Do you believe in destiny? He'd say to people. All right. Where Aries is like the fighter, it's more like the private who's got the gun and goes, I'm gonna get the bastards, right?
Yeah.
It's ruled by Mars. It's martial. That's where we get the word martial from Mars. Mm-hmm. It's a fighting energy. My mum was combative. I'll show them. I'll tell them what I think, right? It's like a young person who thinks they know all the answers. And then you've got the old wise head going, oh, yeah, keep talking. When you meet a Capricorn, they can go and see the Capricorn bank manager say, give me a loan. I want to do this, and this. And the bank manager say, got any collateral? They go, huh? Mm-hmm. Have you saved anything? Have you got anything to back it? And they'll be flummoxed. There's I won't go into the whole song, but there's a song by actually a Pisces, but it's going, I went to see the bank manager. I thought I could get a loan for a house. And he told me, no, you need a job. You need some material. You need some savings behind you. Oh, I thought it was free. That's one of the lines of the song. Oh, that's a very Aries thing. I just thought I could just walk in and just get a loan. No, says the Capricorn bank manager. Excuse me. No, thank you. I'm not loaning you any money. Get out of here and come back when you're serious, right? So you've got that first waking up in the morning, stretching your arms. Got to do it. Otherwise, you just stay in bed and nothing happens. It's the thing that gets us out of the egg. It gets us out of the womb. It gets us born. It is the act of birth and coming from the Piscean connection with everything into 3D reality. There's space, there's time, there's trees, there's the sun, there's a cloud, there's grass. Ooh. Like any newborn, like a child running in the park, like, wee! It's all fascinating and great. When you get to Taurus, now, I mean, the sign of Aries, of course, is the ram. Think of a ram just running about and just going, boom, charging into everything. I went to a farm once when I was a kid, And I was followed by this ram, just ramming itself into my bum all the time. I couldn't get away from it. Just took a dislike to me. Went, boom. I looked at it, leave me alone. Just kept on doing it. That's what they're like. It's a bit like what you were saying about getting the hammer, the nail, and just going, don't, don't, don't. I don't care how thick the wall is. If I just keep on.
Yeah.
There's not much thought in it, but it's full of energy.
Yeah.
Right? That's where the energy is. You've got somebody with a Mars in Aries, for example, full of energy. Go, 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 go. Can't understand why everybody else is so slow. Come on. Get on with it. Taurus, on the other hand, is when you stop, you sit down, and you eat. Now, think of a bull compared with the ram. The bull will charge you if it gets angry, it will charge you. Otherwise, it's going to sit there, not move very much, and chew on the grass.
Yeah.
And if it moves, it's going to be a bit heavier. It's going to move. This is just ingesting, taking things in.
And that's Taurus.
That's Taurus. It's the second house in everyone's chart is a bit taurine. It's very conservative in that I'm sitting here, I'm not moving, I'm eating. It's morning, time to eat. It's breakfast time. I've got to charge my batteries.
Yeah.
Instead, now that you've run around and you're going a bit, well, I better have something to drink. I better have something to eat, because you run out of puff eventually. You can't just, you have to sit there and just take it all in. My tree, my breakfast, my bowl, my cup, my food, my drink, my house, or my environment, my room, probably more like that, my bed, my things. So it's very earthy, grounded. You're not going anywhere. Why would you? You're having breakfast. You've run around, you're tired, it's time to sit down and eat.
Yeah.
Now, once you've had your breakfast, it's time to think about, okay, if you're thinking about a young person, well, you've got to learn stuff. You can't just run around and not know how to spell and how to count and how to speak. You've got to be able to communicate with people. And there are other people other than you. So when you go to school and you do all these things, you travel a small distance, relatively, and you meet other people. You're in a class with other people. So there's you and other people, and you talk to the other people. That's Gemini. The twins. What's the twin mean? There's somebody else other than myself. When you're Aries, me running around. When you're Taurus, my things, my breakfast. Don't want to share them terribly much. Hey, somebody comes and says, "Can I have it's a bit like Joey, doesn't share food." If you're all your friends fans, if you're sitting there, Joey's got the bit of the Taurus in him, whereas Joey don't take anything off his plate. That's his. Right? Even if you're his date, it's not a clue. No. My sandwich, my crab cakes, whatever it is.
Yeah.
But if we go on the friends analogy again, he's got his friends. He can't be too much of an arsehole or a bastard. Sorry. Too much of a bastard. And be able to relate to other people and to be able to communicate and have a sense of humor, which is very important. It's a very Gemini thing.
Yeah.
Dana Carvey, if all you Americans, Gemini. A lot of the stand-up comedians who are good and are particularly witty, a different thing from a sketch comedy artist who tend to be different size. But anybody who's quick-witted, I had a friend of mine who's the drummer in my band, Hans, rules the hands.
Yeah.
Funniest guy I ever met at high school, one of the funniest person I've ever met, Gemini. In like Dana Carvey's got his moon in Scorpio, so there's a lot of dark stuff going on. But it's he was as funny as hell. Always with a quip. He'd say something like, and he'd have an answer for it. He used to call his mum Wilbur, for God's sake, right?
Wilbur, that's
Wilbur.
strange.
Yeah, because he was Mr. Red as far as it came from watching Mr. Red, and Wilbur, his mum was Wilbur, and he'd just say, "Oh, Wilbur," with a Mr. Red voice. Where he got it from, I don't know. Was it funny? Yes, it was.
Yeah.
And his mum loved it. So
Yeah.
she was Wilbur, right?
Yeah.
That's a very Gemini thing to do. Just give somebody a nickname.
Yeah.
Trump's a Gemini, right?
Yeah.
What does he do? He's always calling people names.
Yeah.
Some of them are funny. I don't like Trump very much, but some of them are funny. Sleepy Joe's funny because he
Yeah.
is a bit,
Yeah.
right? He's an old duffer.
Yeah.
So it was a good nickname. It was an effective nickname, and certainly it worked for his base. But that's what he'll do. He'll call you a name. Why? He's a Gemini. And what's he do? He always talk. It's Dana Carvey does an impersonation where he says talk. That's impersonation, just one word of Donald Trump saying talk. It's a Gemini thing. They talk because it's all about meeting people and talking to people. It doesn't. It's what you say isn't terribly important or terribly deep. It's just, oh, here you are. Well, what are we going to talk about today?
Right.
They'll talk for an eternity, Geminis. They'll go on and talk and talk and talk and talk and talk. But when you start talking, when there's other people, you're transitioning out from that.
Yeah.
Instead of becoming very solid and all about me, all of a sudden, oh, there's other people. It's weakened the first part, which is all about the individual.
Right.
So the first quarter of the zodiac is me, me, me. Aries, very much so. Taurus, my things. And if you're a Gemini, I'm talking, but you have to have other people to talk to. So it's weakened. It's now we're starting to move into something else. So you have a beginning, a middle where it's very solid. This is the way things are. It's represented by Taurus, Leo, Scorpio, Aquarius. They're the people that don't budge. Right? My dad, if he had an opinion on something, it was very hard to change his mind. It was very hard at Taurians. It's very hard. A singer in my band disliked certain groups. We suggested a song from one of those groups to him, and he just said, "Not doing it, Chase. Not doing it." Yeah, but it's a really good song, and not doing it. Talk about the doors not opening but closing.
Yeah. So is that how they
interested.
how they experience their own love is the same way? Very.
Yeah.
Yeah.
For an Aries, it's love me, right?
Yeah.
For a Taurus, it's my things, right?
Yeah.
And for a Gemini's, look how clever I am. Look at the clever things I say.
Which
right?
would be what, according to the heart technology, would be.
Well, it's communication.
Love. Communication is love. Okay.
Yeah. Yeah. Laughter is as well. Say something quick and witty.
Yes, because
that doesn't have a lot of. It's nothing like it's Dana Carvey as a one-word joke. It's Donald Trump saying talk, and that's it. It's hilarious.
Yeah,
it's not very deep, but it's funny.
But because there's someone on the other side to respond.
Yeah, you've got somebody. Somebody has to be listening to the joke. You can't tell it to thin air.
So the other signs have a different experience with their heart technology based on when they were born, like when, where, and what day, what time they were born. Yeah, exactly.
Well, so for example, if you move to the next sector, then you've got your mother, your father, and then work.
Yeah.
So and that's the two ego signs. The feminine aspect's Cancer, mother. The male aspect is Leo, Big Daddy.
Yeah.
And then you got Virgo, which is, okay, if you look at it in this way, you plant the crops in Aries and Taurus.
Yeah.
You plant your seeds then. And by the time it gets to Virgo, you've got to pick the fruit. Mm. You've got to harvest the wheat. That's why Virgo is work.
Yeah.
And that's why you're most vulnerable in the 6th house, is because you're putting a strain. There's stuff that you got to do. If you don't pick the fruit and you don't harvest the wheat, when it comes to winter, you got nothing to eat.
Yeah.
So Virgo is all, and then once you've harvested everything, you've got to say, all right, how many apples have we got? How much wheat have we got? How much of this have we got? How much have we all got to survive the next part of the year when there's not going to be anything?
Yeah.
When the sun goes below the surface, you can't grow anything. Now, if you're in the tropics, different story. If you live between the tropics, the sun's always there. Different set of rules. Yeah. But if you're talking about the cycle, you grow stuff in the first section. The second part, you plan everything. And when it gets to the crucial point of Virgo, okay, now we've got to work and get harvested so that we're ready for the next part, which is the sun goes beneath the surface, and it's about other people. You've got to work. If you've got a whole lot of crops, you can't just say, well, they're all mine, because everyone's going to come along and beat the crap out of you and say, how dare you? Everybody's got to get their share of this stuff, which is why Libra, opposite Aries, is, okay, partnership, what's fair for us all to get. Once you've counted everything in Virgo, the Libra says, well, hang on a second, somebody takes 90% of it for themselves. The Libra's going to say, that's not fair. No, everybody's got to get something, which is why Libra rules the law. It's one of the two signs that rule the law. One is Libra. What is fair and just? If you've broken the law, maybe you shouldn't get as much as everyone else. Maybe we should put you in a little box and you don't come out.
Is that how they treat love then? Fair.
It's got to be fair and balanced.
That's how they experience.
And Librans want to be with other people. There's no sign that desires partnership than more than a Libra. John Lennon's a great example. His first partner is Paul McCartney. His second partner is Yoko Ono. He needed somebody to bounce off. He needed somebody to love. And he would put that person up there and say, you're the person. You're it. So the last part of his life, it was Yoko. And he'd put on a little statue and say, without you, I don't function. And Librans are like that. Without the other person, they can... When he had the split with Yoko and he was drinking, he went crazy. Yeah. It's because, I'm on my own. I'm on my own. What do I do? So he went nuts from his perspective. So the Libra wants to be with other people. It's all that part of the chart. The third quarter is about how you deal with other people. Right. And then the final part, well, that's a different thing altogether.
Well, let's hear it.
Well, the first half is the daylight part of the chart, all the way from Aries through to Virgo. When you're born, and then the harvest is when you're dealing with life. You think of your working life. Your working life is Virgo. You got your mum and your dad have set you up with a family structure. You get to be Big Daddy or you get to be Mama, and then you've got to operate the household. Yeah. When it comes to Libra, and you divvy it up, that's sort of the final part of the daylight. It's sort of now going to the night. The sun's going below the horizon. Halloween is very early in Scorpio. And what is Scorpio? Death. It happens early. Death happens early, right? Now, if you think about it in terms of a day, this is when you go to bed, or at least you're thinking about going to bed. Yeah. So that is sleep. Sleep and death are often equated in poetry and in a lot of mythology. And in fact, we've talked about it every night. The body, we may as well not be aware of it because we're not even conscious. We're not even thinking about it. We're back in 5D as far as I'm concerned, from my point of view. So this is where Scorpio is like transitioning back out of 3D. All the personal planets begin with Mars in Aries and end with Mars in Scorpio. Mars in Aries is the birth, and Mars in Scorpio is the death. Yeah. And outside of that, in reality, we've got the asteroid belt between Mars and Jupiter. And that's like the boundary that we cross when we lay our head on the pillow, and we might be conscious for a while in Scorpio, but we know that we're tired. Unlike Aries, where we're full of energy, we're going to sleep. We're not getting up. This is it. An old phrase of ours. We're hitting the sack. We're going to sleep. Yeah. The next four signs, Sagittarius, Capricorn, Aquarius, and Pisces, are into the deep of the night. And they're Jupiter, Saturn, and Jupiter. These aren't personal planets in the way they're interpersonal planets. And they're part of, if I was to explain it, they're the part of the soul that creeps through. This is the collective part. Okay. if you want to talk about Sagittarius in a big way, it's philosophical. It's the law as a concept, not in practice. Libra's law in practice.
Hmm.
But we've talked about, you and I, about the way that if you were to go to university and do the humanities, you've got things that are ontological, which
Hmm.
you can look at the material things and count them. And Virgo is about counting and measuring and putting a value on things. When you
Yeah.
get to Libra, it's more of a construct. You've got to create a system, and that's why it's more cultural. Like in Canada, you've got a set of laws. In Scotland, you've got a set of laws. In Thailand, you've got a set of laws, and they're not the same set of laws
Right.
because it's an international thing as well. It's the idea of an international rather than a national.
Right.
It's a philosophical idea. It's the stars in the sky, not the sun. It's when the light goes out, all you're left with is the darkness and just the specks that are up there, and you can see way into the distance. With Sagittarius, you're looking way into the distance.
Yeah.
There's the concept emerges of, you know what, this material life that we've been living, and we get up and we go to work and we have breakfast and we go to school and we have lunch and we count all the crops and we do all the material things and we get to have a partner and that. Maybe there's something more to it. And that's Sagittarius.
Yeah.
And Capricorn is very symbolic because it's the end of consciousness.
Ha!
The sun and the moon are the ego at its peak. Mummy and daddy, we're in charge of the material. Mummy and daddy could be the president, it could be the father, it could be the CEO, it could be the king. That's why Leos are like they are. I'm on top of the freaking heap, of the material heap, of the egoic heap.
Yeah.
But Capricorn says, you know what? There's only so far you can go, and this is it. You cannot go any further. This is the end of the material. Saturn is the boundary. It's the last planet that we can see with our own eyes.
Yeah.
There are planets beyond that, but we need technology to see them.
Ha! Interesting.
Uranus, by the way, governs technology. I don't use charts without a planets for the stuff that's to do with people. I might use it for intergenerational stuff, maybe for countries.
Yeah.
But I won't use it for this. So the charts that we've done the last couple of weeks, I'm not going to include the last 3 planets. I'm going up to Saturn. Why? Because that's as far as we can see in terms of what affects us in the 3D. Beyond that,
yeah,
you've got to use something else. And if you're talking about the technology, once you open up the ego, what is beyond Saturn becomes available to you. Capricorn is the mountaintop. Right? This is the end. The top, you can't, once you reach the top of the mountain, you can't keep climbing. You'll come crashing back to earth. It's the most sensible sign of the zodiac. It's the bank manager that says, well, here are the rules. In its own way, it's the counter to the king. It's the bank manager, it says, the king says, I want to go to war. And the Capricorn bank manager says, you haven't got the money. You haven't got the resources. You go to war, you will lose everything. It's the old man that knows better. Unlike the kid that's born, says, look, we're going to do it. The Capricorn says, we're not going to do it. Aries says yes. Capricorn says no. And Aquarius is like that dual thing. Capricorn is the feminine no. And Aquarius is the male no. Capricorn is a grounded, earthy grandmother says, now here's what The Aquarius is an intellectual argument for no.
Right.
And then Pisces is a different thing again. It's the God, it's the unknown. Jupiter is not just beyond the stars, but beyond any of this. It's where we're from.
Beyond.
It's symbolic. It's so big you can't touch it. It's the old song. It's so big you can't get over it. It's so wide you can't get around it. So low you can't get under it. Oh, whatever the song was.
Yeah.
Oh, bless my
so it'd be
soul.
like source that we think I guess. We come from source energy, which is infinite,
Yeah.
which is it, right?
Yeah.
Yeah.
I mean,
So,
for the last four signs, if we were looking at anything from Scorpio onwards, the ego is far more fragile and more doubtful, particularly if it's Scorpio, Capricorn, Pisces. It's easier to put the ego aside. The Scorpio is going to be rational in its acts.
yeah.
Cold. It's a cold act. A lot of tyrants have connected with Scorpio because, all right, if I'm going to keep power, I'm going to have to kill lots of people. It's a very authoritarian thing to do. It's just cold blooded. I've nothing against them personally, but we have to kill them in order for me to maintain power. You see a lot of despots, anything despotic would have that kind of energy. It's cold. It's not the warm Napoleon, it's the cold Vlad the Impaler. You know, it's just, if I'm going to stay in power, I'll murder lots of people to do it. I'm ruthless. Death. For a Capricorn, it's existential. I have to put my ego aside and just look at the facts. For a Piscean, it's who am I? Where am I? What is all this? I don't understand what this bloody world is like. What's this all about, really? And you look for something else. It's no accident I do astrology because I look at everything. So it's like, well, this is a bit fucking nuts. Sorry about the swearing again, but it looks a bit effing nuts to me.
Yeah.
Now, what's really going on?
Yeah.
So I'm less connected with the world. Most Pisceans, if they're being true to themselves, and some aren't, the ones that aren't will become very materialistic. The ones that are connected will become, okay, what's really going on? What's really going on here?
Inquisitive.
And everybody has that in them, by the way. Everybody's got Pisces somewhere in their chart. It's just it's more pronounced with me. And anyone who's born with the sun there, it's just an obvious part of the ego. Is just very easy to push aside.
So you can identify how you utilize your heart technology via one of the things that doesn't change, like the planets that are ruling the human experience, to see how we interpret. Would it be how we interpret the programming when it comes to unconditional love, how we use the heart in that space?
Sure.
Because what I'm experiencing with understanding this is it's still Greek to me sometimes. Like when you're saying all that, and my mind wants to try to put it together and it doesn't, but I'm hearing what you're saying. And how I see the patterning around it is that when we're in this space, we're like, okay, well, how do I know myself better? Like my whole stand is know thyself and you can't go wrong. And when you know yourself, then you can move through your reality and walk the path that you're wanting, not the one that is happening despite you. And so what we're showing everyone is based on today's little lecture at the EchoCode lecture at the beginning was how to utilize your heart technology as technology, not as a tool. So what you're showing us is we can, as individuals born on a certain day at a certain time in a certain year, right, and month and a location, then begin to understand how we utilize our heart, or maybe why we're experiencing, our the love that we're experiencing in the way that we are, how we're utilizing the technology and understanding it from that perspective, so that we can then, once we're in that space of acknowledgement, then we can allow something to be present more so. So I would say allow something to shift or allow it to be the same if you're in alignment with who you really are and what's available to you. So what we're showing for everyone watching is how astrology can support the mapping of your experience and your reality. It's like, okay, this is who you are. This is how you experience yourself and why, to some degree, because it's already written in the frequency in which you were born on a certain day. So as a physicality, we're then embodied into ourselves via the astrology. So how far, I mean, you and I had an experience many moons ago of how someone in the Chinese dynasty astrological master, do you remember it was an astrology master, came through and educated me, let's just say, on some levels of astrology. And it was so long ago that you probably don't even remember. We'll have to dig up the videos and go find it.
I remember doing
And
that.
we'll
But
share
anyway.
that. And what I will do that. We'll pull some of that video out and we'll share it. But it was where I was being taught via like the multidimensional space astrology. And even though I was being taught it, I still, this Capricornian mental grasp was like, what? It was still a curiosity. It's just not a language that is native.
Well, the way to understand it really is to break it down and think of the four parts of the cycle. The sun comes up,
Yeah.
right? It reaches midday, then it reaches the western horizon, it sinks, and then then it comes back up again.
Yeah.
That's the cycle.
That
Now
yeah,
the other planets are doing that too, except it's not a 24-hour cycle. If it's Mars, it's a 2-year cycle.
Mm-hmm.
If it's Saturn, it's a 28-year cycle and a bit, right?
Yeah.
If it's the moon, it's a 4-week cycle. And if it's the Earth itself, it's 24 hours.
Yeah. Yeah.
Right?
So I mean, I can imagine
they've got layers upon layers upon layers upon layers.
that's it,
Create
right?
a very complex pattern. So while you it's a very significant part of you is the sun sign, but how is it interacting with everything else is far more revealing than just saying, well, you're a Leo and therefore.
Yeah.
But you can still it's a good entry point. Think, okay, at least I know what my ego's like. My ego's pretty. There's not much to it. It's a bit tricky, but I understand a Leo ego. I understand an Aries ego pretty well.
Yeah.
I've known a lot of Librans in my life. I know their egos pretty well. So you get a feel for it. Once you start, again, when you're aware of it, you start to we were talking about patterns last week. You start to see the pattern emerge.
Yeah.
But it's no more than a rhythmic pattern. The sun does it every year.
Yeah.
The moon every 4 weeks. The Earth every day. Mercury does it along with the sun. It goes around with the sun because it's so close to it. And Jupiter, 12-year pattern, 12-year cycle.
It's
so
when you talk about
you get used to the cycles.
What kind of shows up for me in my mind's eye is a visual of like a scroll. You're unrolling your scroll and you set it up on top of the map. Not a map like a globe map, but it's like a map that you open up and you're like, oh, okay, I understand some of these things, and then pattern out where your programming could exist and how you could shift that in order to use astrology to support you to understand.
It's one of the most predictable things that we have.
Yeah.
It's where the sun's going to be every year at a certain time. Once we fix the calendars and they're aligned, then we know that around March the 10th it's going to be around 18 degrees Pisces.
Yeah.
We know around on March the 21st it should be at 0 degrees Aries.
Yeah.
Right?
So
it's very easy to do. Now with the other planets, much harder to do because it's either much wider than that or much quicker than that, and some of them go backwards. In fact, all the ones that we're talking about here, except the sun and the moon, can go backwards. Relatively speaking, from where we sit.
Further.
It's because of relativity. Yeah. We're going faster than they are, so therefore they appear to be going backwards.
Okay,
they're not really going backwards.
Okay.
But it's no different to being on a fast train and there's a slow train and it looks like, are they going backwards? When you're pulling out of a station, you might think, are they going backwards or are we moving? You can't tell until you pull away from the other train.
Yeah. No, that makes sense. I mean, it really is like Greek to my mind, honestly, when I still think about it now, even though I understand it was going, how I see our programming is so, to me, so obvious, but it comes in a different form, right? So what we're doing here on the channel is showing people, here's a different way to look at it. In case, right, when I'm sharing something, it's like, oh, I don't really get it, right? I don't understand what she's saying, or I can't quite map it out in my mind when say when I talk about how the programming shows up, how you can shift the frequency, how to do that, how to utilize the technology of the Creator Center within you and know what it feels like, the frequency itself, and identify it from that perspective, and then shift it and know what that feels like, and then be able to see the reflection of that in our reality. And so what we're doing is we're showing another way, which is an astrological perspective, where we can then maybe perceive our reality from that view, if it makes more sense, if that's a language that's more familiar. And when I say more familiar, not because you've studied and learned it, but because when someone talks about it, you can feel the resonation of alignment in understanding and go, oh yeah, I kind of get it that way. Like I understand, right? When you meet somebody, you're like, oh yeah, they're definitely Capricorn. There's nothing in me that, as much as I have learned, would even be able to be like, I don't know, what sign are you? Like, there's
Well,
no
no,
way.
the thing is, you're not necessarily going to know that.
You don't
Because
think?
as I say, no, because my moon's in Leo and my rising sign is Gemini, which are nothing like Pisces. So if you just meet me on the off chance, I come across maybe because I'm quite talkative.
Yeah.
For example, if I was at university and doing a tutorial, I'm very chatty. I talk a lot,
Yeah.
whereas most of the time I don't.
So what is it
So
that
if you
people
just met me
recognize?
there, you think I'm a joke. And if you know me for the way I'm reflected as people, I might seem distant and arrogant, and I might seem full of myself because I'm very opinionated. And when I talk, I'm talking with authority. I know better than you. That type of thing can come out too,
Yes,
right? I
true.
will talk with authority.
I
But
wonder.
when you get to know me really well,
Yeah.
I'm as soft as
As a marshmallow.
as a marshmallow, and I'm really looking at everything and what the hell's all this?
Yeah.
So, and I'm quite emotional, which you wouldn't think,
No, not
because
at all.
Gemini and Leo don't come across as emotional. It's like one's funny and chatty, and the other is, I'm in charge here. I'm bloody marvelous. What are you going to do about it, sunshine?
Well, I wanted to get into something that was kind of serious and a real world experience today.
I know what's coming.
And yeah, I mean, the whole premise of this experience today was bringing, every day I go through something really interesting that brings
Yeah,
forward my further interpretation of how this reality can be experienced, so that we can change what we're experiencing and have a new experience, have
yeah,
a different experience. And it's by utilizing, the frequencies, the coding, and the resonance in our reality as our personal experience, projected or reflected more so back to us in our physical reality. And there's some things that are going on, and I've never dove into this before, because my first experience with in a multidimensional aspect with something that was more, I wouldn't say it was global, but it was more country oriented. So being from Canada, I was in the United States, and it was the first time that that Donald Trump was running for president
mm-hmm.
in his first round. And I could see all my friends in the United States having different types of opinions of things going on. And I was like, gosh, what is happening? And that night that I asked that question, I had a very real experience in, I don't know whether it was a lucid dream or an out of body experience, but he and I were sitting on a couch together. And I got to ask him every question and find out like what the hell was going on. And it was ironic because my experience of that, I hesitated to share it with people like live in this genre, because I really didn't do this back then. And I did share it with people in my world, because the panic was real, the curiosity and the misunderstanding was real in the moment. And what I learned, the most potent thing I learned in that, like whether it was a lucid dream or out of body experience, sitting on a couch with Donald Trump, was that he told me, Wendy, I'm here to disrupt the globe, to disrupt it from a very a very real place. And I said yes to this mission, kind of thing. I said yes to doing this because it was going to evoke a lot of change. And he said, I'm, would I choose to be the village idiot if that was my choice? No, but that's part of the role. It's part of what makes him stand out. It's part of what creates a dichotomy in people's,
Yeah.
impression of him. And he said, and that my role is to shake up the globe. That's what I will do. That's what I
Yeah.
committed to doing. And I'm going to be like, I'm going to appear as the village idiot who creates a lot of chaos, which will then create a lot of change. And as soon as he said that, there was something in my soul that was like, oh,
Yeah.
okay. That was on the very, like the day that the election happened over there and the day that it occurred. And that evening is that, is that dream, that lucid dream or that out of body experience I had with him. And being Canadian, I don't have a lot of, education and understanding about what happens politically in the other country because I'm not, personally, I wasn't interested in politics at all. I'm interested in business and multidimensional space and how we can experience both of those things together as a human. So for me, it was like, okay. And I was detached in that respect. And it calmed my heart to know. So I utilized the aspect of the technology of my heart center to realize, okay, well, that's resonating. And that experience occurred. And I did share it with certain things, certain people in my world. But I also noticed something else. The reflection in the people I shared it with was real as well. They were calmed and they had a different opinion. It was something about me saying it that resonated and made sense. Energetically, there's a lot more involved in that. But at the time, it was just my experience. And
Yeah.
so I hesitated to share it. I nearly did. I remember making a post for Instagram and putting like the, picture together because just prior to that, I was at a charity event where when the elections were happening, Hillary Clinton was in there with Trump, and there were the auction had life-size cardboard cutouts of Hillary and Donald Trump. This is way before he was elected the first time.
Mm-hmm.
And those two things were available and, people bid on them or whatever. And it just so happened that my sister-in-law bought them. She ended up with them both. And so people were taking pictures with them, both of them. And I had one. And so ironically,
All right.
because I had one,
Yeah.
and then the election happened and he won, I had like the life-size version and I took photos with it. And my thought was, I'm going to share my experience, my out of body or my lucid dream, whatever you want to call
Yeah.
it, otherworldly experience, sitting on the couch with them, having this conversation, discussing why he was that, like why he landed in that position, what his role actually was energetically from a multidimensional space. And I just couldn't. I was just too, at that time, too fearful to share my opinion because I didn't know enough about my own capacity, let alone
Sure.
what,
Yeah.
what was actually going on. And I didn't want to overspeak with something that I didn't really know about. But that occurred. Now, along the way, I've not had any conscious recall of having anything like that with him before. But what happened was I created a very deep connection with understanding, I guess, the frequency of him. And so that stuff really makes it different too. But what I'm noticing is that I could see, this is who I am. I call myself a reality architect, multidimensional, fusion specialist. Just a freaking silly word to describe the really crazy ass things that I can experience in this reality as a human in a skin suit, being able to see the coding and change it and experience something different is,
Yeah.
there's no title for that, just as what my experience is. And I'm deeply aware of the programming that occurs everywhere I look. And so when I look at something and I'm curious, I'm deeply curious about it, it creates the opportunity for me to understand it from a different perspective, from a deeper level, from a more multidimensional energetic resonance space, because we're each going to experience what happens in our world differently. Each and every one of us is experiencing our reality from, say, if you want to look at it from astrological space, how we view everything. And then just in general, how we view everything, all the programming that we've ever had. So imagine the uniqueness of every single being in our reality experiences their reality from that view with those lenses. The lenses are, when we were born, where we were born, who we were born
Mm-hmm.
to, the location, the experience we had in our culture, which we would also be our nationality, our countries, our education systems, our religion systems, our political system, you name it. We have been exposed to and swimming in the environments that create the coding that we see our reality from. And the coding, the programming is available for purchase, in my perspective. So meaning you're
Yeah.
going to buy it, right? You either buy into something or you don't buy into something,
Yeah.
or sometimes you don't know that you're a fish swimming in water.
That's right.
So the programming is baked right in, and it becomes an assumption, right? So we don't even acknowledge an assumption. We are just living the assumption because that's what we've been used to. That's what we've been exposed to. That's what our family's like. That's what our culture's like, whatever the case
Right.
may be.
Yep.
And from there, those programs indicate how we perceive the outside world that we're experiencing and indicate the program that we are experiencing from that space. So I know how I feel about certain things based on my programming. If the programming is aligned with my deepest essence of my soul, it will then resonate in a higher frequency emotional experience. Joy, even from neutral, joy, love, peace, all the things, all the higher vibrational experiences, emotionally, I'll experience. Anything from a lower perspective, right? Irritation, frustration, sadness, anger, rage, all those things on the lower experience are indicators also of programming, this, programming as well, that indicate out of aligned programming with my soul essence. So if we look at the beginning of this transmissional experience on YouTube, we're looking at the technology of our heart being, we are who we are, and what we experience is basically how we read our book.
Mm-hmm.
It is the coding and the programming that's in existence already running within us that, whether unconsciously or consciously, we bought all the programming up for purchase, so to speak. We're seeing it in our real experience, we're real live life. And as we move through our day, our world, we're learning who we are and what our viewpoint is. So when we have big world events or experiences in our locality, like in our city, in our town, maybe in our province, or for me in province, or our country, or
Mm-hmm.
across the globe, our emotional response is going to indicate the programming that we're seeing this event through, right? And all experiences are happening. How we view them and our opinion of them and how we feel about them is indicating our programming. It doesn't make our experience of it wrong or right. It just makes it so. Meaning we're just experiencing our programming in real time. And that is true. And how we respond emotionally indicates whether what's happening in our opinion of it is a good alignment for us because it creates joy, or an out of aligned experience that creates not joy. Now, neither of those also make it right or wrong. It just makes it so.
Right. Yes, that's
Right?
true.
And so that it's occurring, we can then see both ends, both sides of that experience from a space of, gosh, how did we get here and where are we going from here? And that's how we can also see how our programming can support, okay, well, I see history and I see the potential of our future. How we get to move forward does not remain right here. It remains only where you decide it's going to be. So if you see an experience that happens in our world and you're like, there is no way that I think that's right, it's bad, it's wrong, it's whatever. If you stay there, that programming exists, will remain, and you will see that frequency and that programming show up every time an occurrence
Yes.
happens in the
Yep.
same, in the same field.
It'll back itself up. You will expect to see a pattern will emerge.
Yeah, everywhere you look.
Yep.
And the pattern on the very opposite side, if you see something amazing happening, expect to see the same type of programming in that experience with that frequency and resonation happen across the globe as well. You're going to see it in your world everywhere you look.
Yep.
So that is my interpretation, much like your interpretation so easily with astrology, how you can map that out and that's very solid. My experience of the human existence, the human experience through the programming that is not seen by our physical eyes, but also seen by our physical eyes when we see our reality show up for this. We'll have another Echo Code live maybe next week on like manifestation, actualization, because
Cool.
I have a lot of insight into that one. But what we're witnessing is the result of potentially collective programming occurring where there is, gosh, maybe a greater there is a greater map for me to see as far as frequencies go and programming goes. And I know for you, there's probably astrologically some indicators as to how the planets align and what that experience looks like from that perspective. So we're looking with two different maps. Mine is more multidimensional energetic coding programming that we are
Hmm.
experiencing, and that can be proven. We can see that as well. Your viewpoint invites the astrological, like, well, this lines up based on the positioning of all the planets and where we are today in this timeline or in this time even, what it looks like and the potentiality for things to occur.
Hmm.
So last night when I got home, I was made aware of the extremely horrible experience with, I never get into any kind of any kind of real life stuff ever, but the horrible experience of Charlie Kirk, whom I watched his stuff all the time. I saw where he was really being present with his experience, and yes, he had his opinion, and yes, he had his ideas, but he was true to himself in the space where he was allowing his nature to just basically be shared so that others could see it from a different perspective. And the unfortunate experience of it's hard even to say and articulate out loud that it would occur that someone would be, or some group or someone, we have really no idea, would be so moved on an anger side of their programming that they would decide that someone's life had to end because of it, because of an opinion. And I was curious if there was something in that you could see
Yep.
in the chart that may have, can you read a chart that way? Can you see, I guess I'm not asking if
The
it's
answer is yes, you can.
yeah, I'm not asking if it's like a futuristic thing, but can you
No.
see a potential pathway where it could be advantageous for something or
Yeah. Oh, yeah, for
disadvantageous for
sure.
something? And could we look at that experience? Oh my gosh,
Well,
my heart and soul goes right out to his family and his children and his wife and his friends and his immediate family and
yep.
everyone in his world. It's such a tragic experience. It's not even, I can't even go into all the programming of it, so emotionally driven. But the part I wanna look at is, like, what could that have been prevented if he knew anything in the chart? Is that
Well,
possible?
let's have a look at the chart. We'll start with that. Without going into it too much, did I like him or agree with him? No, not particularly. Um, would I do this? Absolutely not. And of course, what you say about his two kids, they're growing up without their dad, and the wife has lost her husband. So, in human terms, not very nice. Don't like it. But he was in charge of that moment, and we can see maybe if he'd been aware and been open to that, what was actually going that moment signified astrologically, he might have been able to not be blindly walking to that situation and say,
Yeah,
you know what, let's delay it for an hour and a half when the conditions have changed. And I'll show you that right now. If you
yeah.
want me to share the screen.
Yeah, share the chart for sure.
Okay. What am I doing? Oh, I know what I'm pressing the wrong button. Here we go. Share screen. There we go. when you're ready.
Are you sharing? Hold on. I'm not seeing. Oh, there it is. Okay, there we go. I see it.
Okay, now
What
I'll
is
just
this
move that.
chart? Just tell us.
Now
Tell us what this chart actually
this
is.
is not Charlie's birth chart. Okay, just want to make that clear. This doesn't show his personality or what his beliefs were or anything like that. This is a specific chart for an event, which you can do. You can also, as I've said, you can ask horary questions in a moment and say, is it a good idea if we can formulate your question, and you can look at the chart for the moment you ask the question and see what the answer is. And if you're not asking 5 questions within 10 minutes, you should be fine. If you do 5 questions in 10 minutes, it won't work.
So
This
is
is
this? So
this is
this
the
chart
10th of
is for.
September, 12 o'clock yesterday. Around the time, it's not specific to the minute, but it's close enough that I can tell you what it was. Now, if you're in a different place, you get a different chart. You get a different time, you get a different chart. This is the assassination. I've got one for Kennedy, both the Kennedys, John Lennon. I've looked at several, Abraham Lincoln. I've looked at several assassination charts and seen how you look at for where why they succeeded. There's ones that didn't succeed, and there's reasons for that too. So I'll show you. There's when you're looking at a chart like this, you're not looking to analyze a personality or anything like that. You're just looking for key elements and seeing how they interact. Now, symbolic of Charlie Kirk is the rising sign. That's the ascendant. That's in Scorpio here, right? The ruler of Scorpio is Mars. We'll come to that in a moment. His assassin is ruled by exact opposite. Now, the 7th chart can be partners, friends. Well, friends is more the 11th, but it's certainly partners, but it's also open enemies. So an assassin would be the 7th house, okay?
Yeah.
So the 7th house is symbolized by Taurus. And I'll go into that a little bit more because it gives us a clue what the motivation was for the assassin. It also shows why we don't know who it is yet, but we will. They will catch this person. So, and the other key element is the midheaven. Sometimes the opposite, which is called the IC, can be important. In this case, not so much. We only need these 3 key elements to understand what happened yesterday. So around the time that he sat down and he started his political meeting, where people go up and ask him a question, and you've got to try and prove him wrong, etc. I know who Charlie Kirk was. I know how he operated. So this was his usual thing. He'd go to a university, sit down, and the mic would be there. They'd record it, and someone would come up and ask him or put forward an idea, and he'd have to respond to it. Okay. So around that time, which was around 12 o'clock, midday yesterday, the ascendant is there, Taurus is there on the descendant. That's symbolic. So the 2 key planets are Venus, the ruler of the descendant. That's the assassin. And the ruler of Charlie himself is Mars.
Okay.
There's a big giveaway here. Right from the get-go. The ruler, Mars, is in Libra. Libra is ruled by Venus. Venus is always opposite Mars. They're antagonistic to each other. They're polar opposites to each other. They can be attracted. They can be aggressive towards each other. It depends. In this situation, we're going to see it's not very nice at all. Mars in Libra is weak. It is debilitated. So he's in a vulnerable position.
Okay.
If you've got Scorpio rising, that's symbolic of him. He's in a weak position. And if you think about it, JFK was sitting in a slow-moving vehicle. Abraham Lincoln was sitting in a theater, not moving. Both either moving slowly or a sitting target. Bobby Kennedy was walking through a kitchen when he was assassinated. John Lennon had got out of a car and was walking towards the entrance of his flat. Exposed, open, right?
Yeah.
The Libra would suggest it's air sign, so the opponent has a clear view. It's also on the 12th house. Now, the 12th house in a chart like this is hidden enemies. So Mars is right on top of the ascendant there. So there is a hidden enemy out in the open. That hidden enemy is symbolized by Taurus. The hidden enemy is in a fire sign, in this case Leo, very close to the midheaven. So it's not conjuncted, but it is in a powerful position. It's elevated. He is above Charlie Kirk. I would suggest it's probably the case because we're assuming he was about 600 feet away. They have an idea where the shot came from. So he's elevated. It's not unlike Lee Harvey Oswald in the idea that he's in a building, elevated, looking down on him. And JFK was moving slowly. He's just sitting there in a tent, exposed.
Right.
So this guy's got whoever it is, and it could be a woman, probably not, is exposed. Now, the relationship between the two planets, the faster moving planet is Venus. It moves faster than Mars. So Venus is moving towards Mars from an elevated position. So it's not moving away, in which case the danger is passing, but the danger is increasing. And there's a relationship right there. Okay?
Yeah.
Now, for the timing of an event, we look to the moon. The moon is always significant in a chart like this. Now, the moon is directly opposite Mars. That's the worst aspect in a chart like this, is an opposition. That means that they've got you in their sights. To an extent, the danger had passed, or it had already been set up. The moment that Charlie Kirk said he was going to be there at that time in that place, the assassin knew, okay, I know where I've got to be. I know where I've got to set up. So it's probably indicated that the assassin had planned this in advance and knew where they were going to be and how they could best take him out.
Right.
It's in Aries. The ruler of Aries is Mars, which means Mars is captured by the moon. The ruler of Mars is Libra, captured by Venus. The assassin has the advantage. Charlie Kirk is sitting there, doesn't know the assassin's there. The assassin knows Charlie Kirk's there. Got all the time in the world. Just aim, right? I'm not going to go into graphic detail, but you get the picture. Now, the other thing was, the ruler of Venus is the sun in Virgo in the 10th, conjunct, and we saw this 2 weeks ago in a chart where the south node was conjunct the ascendant. Here, this is karmic. The sun is conjunct the south node. It means that the heart of the matter is fated.
Oof.
He's chosen to meet. This is an exit point. He could have chosen not to. He could have, if he was aware, he could have chosen not to be in that spot at that time. And we've just had an eclipse within the past few days when the moon was conjunct Pisces opposite that spot right there. So it's active. Karma is open and active. He's chosen to sit in a spot in a place where he's weak, he's vulnerable, he's just sitting there totally exposed. There's somebody completely out in the open.
Yeah.
Right? Now, what's their motivation? Well, Venus is in the 9th house. The 9th house is, as we've said, the concept of the law. It's also political ideology. This is Charlie Kirk was an incredibly political figure.
Yeah.
He was very closely aligned with Trump.
Yeah.
And he's speaking on politics. This is a political event. The assassin is there for a political reason. This is a calculated it's a political assassination. It's not personal, it's political. In addition to that, we've got Jupiter in its own house, which is the 9th. In Cancer, where it is strong, again, highly political. I'll come to that in a moment, why that if he waited longer, situation's different. But at that moment, that Jupiter is sextile to both the Sun and the South Node, and to an extent the Mercury as well, which is the ruler of the Sun at that point. So it's all tied in. What was he doing? He was talking. He was talking about politics aligning with Jupiter, right?
Yeah.
In a way that's at the top. He's at the top of his game, Charlie Kirk, at this point. But the actions are he's exposed. Where am I going next? I will show you. If he'd waited, if he'd been knowledgeable, and someone said, this is the chart for the moment that you're going to be sitting there, I'd be looking at it saying, what the hell are you doing? You're exposed. Mars near the 12th house. Kennedy had Saturn near the 12th house when he was done. Different chart, but it was like he was a sitting duck. This guy's a sitting duck. If he'd waited an hour and a half, to when Jupiter is rising, when you've got Sagittarius rising, his ruling planet then becomes Jupiter in Cancer. Now, he's still in danger because at that point, Jupiter would have moved into the 8th house. He's still vulnerable. That's the house of death. But there's every chance with that, he's no longer a sitting duck. He's no longer a sitting duck.
So you're saying that...
And the opponent would be Mercury over here, close to fate, possibly in the 11th. It weakens. It doesn't mean that it can't happen, but it's less likely to happen. He's far less vulnerable if he waits an hour.
Yeah.
There might be more people around at that point. There might be more, whatever circumstances would have made it more difficult for the person to operate. There might have been more of a crowd around different areas. I can't speculate as to what the conditions would be, but at the point of when he sat down and started taking the event, the astrologer is saying, don't do it.
So what you're saying is, as if, if you were...
But the fact that he did, it's karmic, and Jupiter is saying, this is a big event. This is a worldwide event.
So there's other things at play, but what you're seeing is through all the ones you've researched before for assassinations in this format, they all have a very similar chart. In
the ascendant is always vulnerable.
So if they were having some type of a support with that, it would be ill-advised. You'd be like, no, that's not a good idea. No matter what you do, this is not a good time to do this. On maybe any other day.
I'd say even if he'd waited an hour, if he'd waited until the rising sign was Sagittarius.
So I'm going to speak as maybe the public would say, well, wouldn't they just wait until he showed up and did that? Would that not? Or are you saying
the conditions change?
The conditions change because now would it be in the moment that he would wait? If he would say he was advised after.
Well, example, his ruling planet here is Mars in Pluto. Mars is a violent planet. It's the most violent planet. And it exposes him to he's not the actor, he's the recipient of the violence. Why? Because it's weak.
Yeah.
He's on the receiving end of violence. He's not dishing it out, he's taking it. If you go to Jupiter rising, his ruling planet is then Jupiter in Cancer, which is highly benefic. It's generous. He's in a strong position. This is what's called it's the opposite of the detriment. It's the height of the planet. It's the best that it can be. Okay. Jupiter in Cancer is the best that it can be.
So you're saying just an hour later would have made, like, it would have lined up differently. So if you're looking at changing it, that would be something they would have, if they had planned it before. It would have formulated, the reality would have formulated differently from that perspective.
If it had been an hour before, he's got Libra rising. Now he's still that would probably be near Mars near the ascendant. Still danger.
Yeah.
Still danger. But his ruling planet would then be Venus, and he would be higher than the assassin. He'd still be vulnerable. I wouldn't recommend it. I would say go later rather than early.
Right.
But there he's not vulnerable nearly as much. In fact, I'd say it'd be okay.
I mean, we can only do this, of course, on the aftermath of all of it and looking at it from this perspective and seeing how crazy some certain things could be. And it's a really extreme example of
I'll also say this before you continue. It's very hard to predict before the event.
Yeah, I was going to say that.
If you're John Lennon arriving home, getting out of a car, walking home, it's very hard to say, well, I'll do a chart for you arriving home. But for a public event like JFK getting off the
Yeah.
plane and heading down into a car. You could possibly say delay for this kind of thing. You could possibly public event. Then you can do a chart for it. It's
Yeah.
easier to do.
Yeah.
But if it's somebody getting out of a car randomly, it's much harder to do. You can't just say, well, don't get out of a car at between 12 and 2.
Yeah.
It's very difficult to do. But don't have a public event at this point. Much easier to do.
Yeah. So it's just we're looking at it from the perspective of goodness gracious, you see how those things come together because the scenarios could be different. We're not saying that, that was a missed opportunity because you just don't know, but there's a potentiality in what you experience that will line up your experience and your reality to be favorable or not favorable. And every tool that you have at your advantage is going to support you to navigate your reality with greater clarity and confidence. And not that he didn't have that already, but when we're looking at it, there's a lot of interpretations that can be done in order to support you. Like it's no one's left out in the lurk to, be the victim of their own experience. If you allow yourself to know that there's other types of experiences that or other types of, let's say, inferences, viewpoints, tools that we have available to us that could support us to make decisions that were slightly different. Could this be avoided? No, of course not. Why? Because it occurred, right? We can't go back in time and change it, but we can move forward and understand that the more support you give yourself, the more availability you have to create a reality that's going to be in alignment with your goals and dreams. Because of course, this was not his goal and dream. His was to change the reality as he knew it, to have other people see different aspects, literally just see it differently, to make different choices. And it was an advocacy of his own opinion, right? What he appreciated. At least I would hope that was, that was his mission, his dream, is what he was passionate about. Clearly, otherwise he wouldn't be able to get up and talk to people in the way that he did and be himself everywhere he looked. And listen, we all have opportunities in our reality to be us, right? We're looking at be yourself fully, completely, and utilize the tools at your availability to set yourself up for the best possible experience. That's
Look,
the invitation.
all I can say is if it said been open to, which I don't think he would have been, honestly, knowing what his beliefs were, said here's the event chart a week ago. This is where I'm going to be. What do you think? Then I could tell him.
Yeah.
But the fact he's blind to all that kind of thing means he's open to. And I point to the South Node here. It's very fatalistic. I mean, this is.
Yeah. And then we don't know, Jason. We don't know if he got support from that.
From an astrological viewpoint.
Yeah.
It's an exit point in his life. He didn't have to take it, obviously. There's an amount of choice involved with all these things. But
and here's the other,
again, I'm speaking after the event.
Right. Here's the bigger viewpoint as well. And you're saying it's an exit point and it could be what have you. Listen, all things are catalytic in what occurs after because it impacts every single being in a different way.
Yeah.
It could catalyst a viewpoint that is going down any direction, but it could also be something that changes the way people think. And that is, I would say, if there was a connection between his advocacy, what he was after, what he was to stand for, what he was passionate about, what he wanted to share, what his message was, in all of it, it's going to land exactly as it did and different for everyone because all of our programs that we have individually are going to filter that experience and his message and what occurred through to us differently. And that is what matters. That to me is like, how do you take that absolutely tragic event and your experience of it and be able to identify the programming that you possess within you to know, gosh, you know what, on the big scale of things, that was absolutely not okay, right? No one's going to say it's okay, but there are passionate extremists that live in a different mental realm with so much programming that in their world, clearly, because it occurred, made that something that was okay because they decided to do it and they followed through. Now, it doesn't make it right at all.
No,
It doesn't matter what his opinion is.
no.
That experience is tragic beyond words. And in the same moment, how anyone experiences that, it's not about him and his opinion. It's about humanity in general. How are we experiencing those with an opinion? How can we shut down someone with an opinion by death? Because it's an experience of data, of opinions, of programming. It's all there. We all have that. The difference is his was such a collective, I would say, a larger scaled thing where he put himself in the position to speak to the public in a way that was, I guess it drew physical attention to him because he did it in person. There is a massive message underneath all of that that has nothing to do with his message, his personal message. It's about, like, the opinion of one individual does not make the opinion of someone else right or wrong.
Well, again, the chart that you're looking at is not about Charlie Kirk himself.
No, it's
It's
not
that
about him.
moment that occurred. This is how we analyze what happened.
Yeah, absolutely. And
And the timing of something and how powerful it was. It's sitting right there. We did last week when we were talking, we had the same aspect between the Mars and the Moon, except Mars happened to be in Capricorn and this happened to be in Cancer. Therefore, it was we're talking about health issues, and it was grinding yourself down. This is very different. This is Aries and Libra, which is, we talked about Aries.
Yeah.
It's go.
Yeah.
Move.
Yeah. And this chart, you're saying this chart is for the moment. It's not for him or anyone else. This chart isn't set up for any one human individual. This is set up for that moment in that hour to
in that place. If he's somewhere else, it's a different chart.
Exactly, in that place. So it's set up for that place in that hour at that moment in time. And so I suppose we're looking at that from the viewpoint of, if we're going to be who we are in a moment in time, this is how we can identify some of the things that are, program led, that aren't. Like, this is for everyone. Anyone and everyone in that moment had a different experience across the globe. This is a global thing, right? You're looking at this going, not this chart in particular, but this scenario, this experience, and it impacts everyone differently across the globe. You're not in that country. You're in Scotland. I'm in Canada. There's people across the globe, everywhere, looking at this from a different perspective and seeing it. And what we're looking at is the chart for that moment in time in that location, not for him specifically, excuse me, but that particular, like, point. If you took a pin on the earth, in the planet, on that spot, and could you do that in your world to change your experience of your reality at any given time? Yes. Right? You could take your location and this moment in time and look at what you're looking to do, and perhaps alter your pathway with your vision in mind, right? What you stand for, what you would like to see, and line it up and make decisions from there, and allow yourself to have some tools that aren't just like etheric tools. When I talk about the energy of things, you can't see it, but this you can. You can translate it from the physical planets in this, in our universe, place them on a map in a point in time, which we can also see, like, based on our clocks and moment in time, but on the map of the planet, and give ourselves a bit of a guidepost of saying, okay, well, what would be advantageous? We don't all have to know how to read and know astrology in order to ask someone questions, to understand it better. What we get to do is know that there are a lot of ways that we can interpret our reality in order to have the kind of experience on this planet that we want. And I get to close up this whole EchoCode Live with this. Use the technology you are born with in order to navigate your world and navigate your reality from the greatest perspective that you have. and lead with the unconditional love that you were born with, not with as a tool for effort, but as a technology that already exists. And wherever you are, there you be. And if you have tools in order to navigate this reality, use them and have the beautiful experience that you get to have on this planet so that you can live out your vision that will impact you and everyone around you in the most beautiful way. This is the first time I ever brought anything that was in real time live to my world in public to discuss anything like that. It's new for me. It's it's impactful emotionally because I'm not used to diving deep into it. I can feel the frequencies of everyone and the emotions going on for everyone. And it boils down to this. We're born whole no matter what. And our programming indicates a lot of things, our experience. And no matter where we are in the world, on the planet, we do have the availability to understand our own technology from an unconditional love space to identify programming in many ways in order to shift the programming of frequency and resonance to have a different experience. Am I saying that anything could be changed with that experience? No, because it occurred. What we get to change about that experience is ourselves and our belief systems around what we experience, how we think, and how we move through the world. That's what gets to change. That's what gets to shift. That's where we get to activate that unconditional love space of seeing our reality and shifting to match a higher vibrational experience so the resonance in our world can be different. That's what gets to change. I want to send out my absolute heartfelt prayers, all of my love, all of my unconditional experience to Charlie himself, the energy of him, what he was being true to for himself, his family, immediate family, and beyond, everyone who cared about him, and then some, for a moment that will marker the opportunity for a big catalytic change in a good direction, that he stood for something that he believed in, and on a unconditionally loved space, be the catalyst for something greater. And that is my intention, my expression in this moment to that event. I'm not like, would I have liked it to be different? Yes. And hindsight's 2020. It occurred and it was horrific, and it gets to be the catalyst for a greater love on this planet from all respects. We get to see things differently from the space of loving one another and standing up for the human experience, not these, you know, horrific experiences that teach. We don't need that if we don't have to have it. We can have that experience on our own. So I want to thank everybody for being here with us as we walked through this experience. It wasn't something that I was planning on doing, and it occurred, and it's just in the same way. And we'll look at that chart next week and see how that mapped out. But I'm sending everyone great love, and I look forward to questions around this. If you have it, please share them in the comments, and I promise you I will come around, and Jason will come around, and
The last thing I'll say about the chart is they will get the person who did it. It's just that the person who did it was at the time covered their tracks well, but they'll end up being caught as the moon progresses. Yeah. It's in the chart too. I haven't had time to go into that, but they will be caught.
Yeah, they will be caught, and that is a good thing too. So from that, I will see everyone next week. Please leave your comments below, your questions. I mean, this is a non-judgmental space. Jason and I will pop in and we'll answer your questions. And we look forward to seeing you next week. So I'm sending everyone so much love. I can't wait to see you again. Take care, everyone.